The Dodgers lost a close one to the Orioles. Yeah, the umpires were bad, but can I gaslight the Dodgers a little bit? Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. And if you want to make it easier on yourself, all you have to do is subscribe and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live, like we are here on Tuesday night. If this is your first time listening and watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snyder. But he was at the game tonight, and his commute back home is a little further, so we don't want to keep you guys up too late. So here I am. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team in a few different ways over the last 10 years. One of those ways being this here podcast. One of the other ways is writing about the team, being in the press box, being in the locker room, being special guests on different Dodger other podcasts and other radio hits and all that type of stuff. So we've talked a lot about the Dodgers. We've watched a lot of Dodgers, and we're here to hopefully bring some rational and maybe sometimes get a little rational with our thoughts, but make everyone better Dodger fans in the process, including ourselves. So let's hop right into it. The Dodgers lost 3-2 against the Orioles. It was an annoying game in certain aspects, mostly the umpires, which we'll get into. Jack Flaherty pitched well enough, but unfortunately couldn't beat the homers that have been getting them. And yeah, I guess let's just start with the umpires and the Dodgers. I've mentioned in the lead-in, let me gaslight the Dodgers a little bit, and this is what I mean by that. It's when it comes down to umpiring, I understand, there are obviously better ways to call balls and strikes. MLB is not using those ways. The calls were pretty bad today. Will Smith had a whole at bat where he saw 6-7 pitches, and not one of them was a strike, but he struck out looking, and he didn't swing. And, Tommy Edman got burned by one late in the game, and, it felt like it was worse as the game went on. But for me, and, this is where I kind of wish Jeff was on, because I know we've talked about this before. Now, in a regular season game on August 27th, yeah, I guess if you want to stick to your morals and your laurels, and you don't want to swing at pitches that are not strikes, then go ahead by any means. But at some point, like, that excuse isn't valid to me, and it is, but it also isn't in a certain degree. Like, Will Smith, you already got 2 pitches. Almost the same spot called strikes. Maybe if there's another pitch that's in that same general area, you maybe have to swing. Like, maybe foul it off if you can. Obviously, all this is a lot easier said than done, but swing the bat. Like, you've already seen 2 of them. Why let a third one go by? Just because, in principle, it was a strike. Okay, it was a ball. Okay, the principle, you were right. It was a ball. You still struck out. Like, it doesn't help in that moment. And, as the game goes on, where umpires, they fall into their zones, whether it's, they call it low out of the zone, outside, inside, high, like whatever it is, umpires will fall into their zones. And it's just a matter of, are they consistent with it or inconsistent with it? And I think toward the end of the game, this umpire was pretty consistent in the sense of what he was calling. And, for me, you can blame the umpires, but like I said, I'm going to gaslight the Dodgers just a little bit and say, if the umpire is calling it, you got to swing the bat. Because, okay, August 27th, not a huge deal. The Diamondbacks lost, Padres won. But in October, like, what? Okay, you were right. That pitch wasn't a strike. It still ends up being a strikeout. So for me, I feel like you have to adjust, like the same way you adjust to pitchers, the same way you adjust to situations. If you adjust to those, you kind of have to adjust to the umpire, and it sucks, obviously, that you have to go out of what you know is right and what you know your whole life to be right in order to do that. But saying, oh, it was a bad call when you've already seen that same bad call being made multiple times, to me, it's like, okay, maybe you just have to open up a little bit. Yeah, it sucks in the moment. Not the best way to go about it, but you have to open that up and swing the bat and maybe be a little more aggressive than you would normally be. And again, that's I'm not blaming the Dodgers 100%, but I do think that, when it comes to October and an umpire is consistently bad, but calling the same consistently bad strikes that are out of the zone, you have to expand a little bit. And it's hard to hit a pitch out of the zone, especially outside part of the plate. It's hard to hit that pitch for a strike. I mean, it's hard to hit it for a base hit or get any kind of power behind it. But, that's better than striking out looking and hoping that the umpire is not going to call it this time. That's the big part, is like you're hoping somebody's not going to do what he's been doing most of the game. So it sucks, that's the fact. The other part for the offense, we'll talk about Flaherty in the next segment. Let's stick with the offense. Is that for a 2-run game, it wasn't the worst offensive performance, but it was a little bit unlucky. And obviously in some situations, it was just not great. Now, unlucky, the Dodgers had almost all the hard hit balls of the game were off the Dodger bats, other than, obviously the 2 home runs that they hit. But in terms of top exit velocity, the Dodgers had 3 of the top 5. And if I break it down even further than that, they had even more than that. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the top 17. The top 10's a little more split, 6 and 4. But so the Dodgers were hitting the ball hard. Max Muncy had a line out at 107.7, 660 expected batting average. Kike Hernandez, that was a double. Will Smith had a line out with the 550 expected batting average. Now, does this mean, okay, the Dodgers are hitting the ball hard. We'll go get them next time? No, not necessarily, but it does mean that the Dodgers were barreling the ball, were, squaring the ball up. It just didn't go their way. And that combined with, bad umpiring, combined with guys not coming through with runners in scoring position beyond the umpire, that all combines to, okay, we only scored 2 runs and we didn't win the game. And, for the Dodgers to give up only 3 runs and not win a game had a little bit of an October feel. If you've been around with us for a while, you know that I'm very scared of the offense in October. And this is, one of those things where a few combinations of a few things, and you only score 2 runs and you don't win a winnable game, especially considering the fact that it wasn't one of the Orioles' top pitchers, that they are now going to face Corbin Burns on Wednesday against Walker Buehler, which a few years ago would have been a premier matchup. Now it seems like a very lopsided matchup going against the Dodgers. But for the offense, I can point to different things now. Some of those hard hits were with runners in scoring position, would have scored runs had they fallen in. Will Smith's at bat came with a runner in scoring position where he got that bat taken away from the umpire. But we also had Teoscar Hernandez, who came up with the hit earlier in the game, swing at a ball way outside the zone, and with the runner in scoring position. So there's different things. And, Shohei Ohtani, you don't want to get on him, but too much, because he did have 2 hits in this game. But then when he had the chance with runners in scoring, like the Dodgers had first and second with Ohtani, Betts, and Teo coming up, and they don't score a run. They don't even advance the runners. Like it's tough to watch that and really think like, oh man, like, that's not going to come back to hurt us. And, realistically, the bottom of the order did the job. The top of the order didn't do their job. Later, other parts in the game, the top of the order did do the job, but, there was either starting the game or the bottom of the order didn't do their job ahead of it or whatever, or starting an inning. So it was a frustrating game in that sense. It was a frustrating game where it wasn't always the prettiest, but the bullpen got the job done. Jack Flaherty was really only and even one of the pitches that he gave for a home run wasn't terrible. So it's not like he made a bunch of mistakes. But, if Jack Flaherty had only made 2 mistakes this whole game, those 2 mistakes got hit over the wall. If the Orioles had made any more than 2 mistakes pitching, which they did, the Dodgers didn't take advantage. And that's what it comes down to. Even with the umpiring and everything else, it came down to the Dodgers had their chances and didn't come through. And it sucks, but that's just the way games go sometimes. And we're hoping that this series can flip on its head a little bit in the sense of, hey, the Dodgers, Walker Buehler versus Corbin Burns, you maybe chalk that up as a loss in your head. Maybe the Dodgers get to Burns, who has been struggling a little bit here in the second half. And then, Walker Buehler can somehow walk a tightrope and not give up multiple runs in less than 5 innings. So we'll see. But Jack Flaherty was the starter in this game. He's now been with the Dodgers about a month. What have we seen from him? What do we like? What are we concerned about? Is he somebody that is going to help the Dodgers in the postseason? We'll get into that. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, it's you against the numbers. And it's available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. It's easy. You pick more or less on 226 player stat projections, and boom. Once you pick at least 2, you can put it down, put $10, and if your odds are high enough, you can turn it all the way up to $1,000. Now you're not gonna do that with just 2 picks. You're gonna have to go up to 6 picks and make some bold picks there. Let's just say Shohei Ohtani more than 0.5 home runs. Aaron Judge, let's say more than 0.5 home runs. And then maybe you think that somebody's gonna, you think Walker Buehler is gonna strike out more than whatever his projection is. Then you think Corbin Burns is gonna, strike out less than what his prediction is. And boom, now you got a 4-pack there. Your $10 that you put in, maybe not quite $1,000, but it can get up there. So right now, if you sign up, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win. You just receive the $50 bonus guaranteed once you play $5. And with the NFL season coming through, you want to get in on some of the things they got there. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That means all you got to do is pick Caleb Williams to get more than 1 yard and pick something else in any other sport. And with those 2, you put down at least $5 and boom, you could be a winner very easily. So go check out PrizePicks, download the app right now and see all they got going on for football season and get in on baseball season. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need a win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, or maybe your last listen of the day, as we are here live on Tuesday night. But if you're listening in the morning, Wednesday morning, we're your first listen of the day. Either way, as long as you're listening, we appreciate it. If you want another listen, you can go check out our pal Sully on the Locked On MLB podcast. He's bringing you through this final stretch run of the season, heading into the postseason with his signature humor and trademark wit and all that type of stuff that he's bringing you on the Locked On MLB podcast, wherever you get podcasts, and on YouTube, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also part of the Locked On Podcast Network is Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world, live on YouTube 24/7. Pete Fox is the host of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast, available after most Dodger games, live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. All right, let's talk about Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty had a solid start, quality start, I guess, by definition. 6 innings, 3 runs allowed, just the 2 home runs. At least the other run that scored on the home run wasn't via walk, it was via single, so I guess earned in that sense. But now Flaherty's been with the Dodgers for just about a month now, since they got him at the deadline, and he's made a handful of starts for the Dodgers. How many specifically? I don't remember. I think 5. But either way, it's been enough time to see what we have with Jack Flaherty as a Dodger. 5 starts, 3.49 ERA. He has 34 strikeouts in 28.1 innings with just 7 walks. So overall, not great, but solid. Definitely, slightly worse than he was in the first half with the Tigers. But again, not too much. And he's pitched into the 6th inning a few times and gotten through the 6th inning a couple times. I think the overall assessment is kind of what the numbers show. Like, he's been okay. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad. He's just been solid. And I think, for all the Dodgers need right now, solid is good enough. You look at, he's given them at least 5 innings every time out, which not every starter can say. He's had at least 5 strikeouts every time out. The issues are definitely the home runs. He's given up 6 home runs in those 5 starts, with 2 of those starts not allowing any home runs. So 6 of those home runs have come in 3 games. And I think that is the one general concern I have with him, because in October, the easiest way to score is to allow home runs. And I think when you're a pitcher that's more susceptible to allowing those, it's a lot harder. And obviously the Dodgers, on the flip side, on the offense, can hit homers with just about any team, but you don't want it to come down to that. You'd rather, your pitching be shut down and your offense, put up the runs. But I think the best part about Flaherty is that it seems like the back issues are past him. I don't think, it could be affecting his delivery and his efficiency a little bit, but it's one of those where he's not walking guys. Like 7 walks on 5 starts, not bad at all. But it's just the fact that he gets into a lot of he'll get into a lot of 3-ball counts, or he'll battle back from 2-0, battle back from 3-1. A couple of times, he doesn't. Maybe the Dodgers still working on the sequencing and kind of what his out pitch is. There's been a few times where he's gotten into some counts that run up a little bit, trying to get guys out. And it's tough. Like when it's 3-2 and guy keeps fouling off. It's hard to try to beat him that way, because he knows you have to stay in the zone. And if you're not in the zone, he has to be fooled by something. And while he's done it a few times, it's also, sometimes I think both home runs were on 2 strikes tonight. So it's a matter of getting yourself ahead in counts, being 0-2, being 1-2. If you do get to 3-2, it's because you were up 1-2, and then you throw a couple pitches that end up being burned or spit on or whatever the case. And, the guy was just better than you that time. But I do think that some of the home run issues, he can help himself out a little bit. And also the Dodgers can maybe help him out a little bit and continue to find ways of maximizing his potential with 2 strikes. Obviously, he was, a big strikeout guy coming to the Dodgers this season from the Tigers. And, he slowed down a little bit there in June and July. He had a couple 4 strikeout performances, but there was a few 8 strikeout performances in there. Early in the season, he had 3 straight 9 strikeout performances, a 14 strikeout performance, a 10 strikeout performance. Like it's there, and it wasn't. If you say, oh, it was against the AL Central because that's where he was, well, maybe back then that some of those teams were bad, but now all those AL Central teams, 3 of them are fighting for that spot and fighting for near the top record in the league. So it's been a mixed bag in the sense of, okay, Jack Flaherty hasn't wowed us, but he's been very solid. And honestly, we're going to talk about this every time, but it is contingent on what the health is. Like, Jack Flaherty was acquired to be a number 2 at best. And that was because Tyler Glasnow was healthy at the time, and Yamamoto, we weren't sure yet. Knowing or thinking that Yamamoto is going to come back, Glasnow is going to come back. Now, Flaherty's a number 3, and as your number 3 starter, there's not too many that are going to be better than Jack Flaherty. But I do think that just knowing, hey, Glasnow's progressing a little bit slower, Yamamoto could have a setback once he starts these rehab games. Jack Flaherty, you might need to pitch more like a 1 or 2. I do think he can find that efficiency there, and I have confidence that he can. I'm not going to say I have confidence that he will. I have confidence that he can because he's a good pitcher, and he's been good at times in the past, albeit a little inconsistent, especially the last few years. Last year specifically with the team he faced, like with the Orioles. I'm sure the Orioles are like, man, why didn't we get this Jack Flaherty that we traded for last deadline? But either way, Jack Flaherty's been good. I appreciate the performances he's had. I appreciate him going 5 innings every time out, 90, 9,500 pitches plus. And I do like the fact that Dave Roberts has given him that leash. It's one of those where with Glasnow and Yamamoto and Kershaw and all that type of, and, Gavin Stone, I don't know if it's necessarily they don't have that leash. It's just that you don't want to, you will have vested interest in them beyond this year. Maybe Kershaw, not as much, but, definitely Stone, Glasnow, Yamamoto, different guys, Bobby Miller, you have vested interest past this year. So, you may not push it as much. With Jack Flaherty, like your vested interest in Jack Flaherty lasts through October. And once October's over, you can, say goodbye if you don't think he's the right guy. But, there's been a couple of times where Dave Roberts has let him go. And I think that's beneficial in the moment for the bullpen, obviously, if he does get the job done, and beneficial moving forward in October, because you're going to know, like, hey, I can push him and I think he can get the job done. Or, hey, you know what? I don't think I can push him. So, let's go to the bullpen. So, yeah, Jack Flaherty, we will continue to evaluate every start he makes, but it's been a good month so far. And, I think the Dodgers have did well in acquiring him. So, all right, last thing. Freddie Freeman was not playing, even though the Dodgers had an off day on Monday. Are we concerned about the finger and what that means moving forward? And we'll talk a little bit more about some offensive thoughts and lineup construction. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. It is still the summer. It is still scorching in some parts of LA and other areas, and you need hydration. And if you need hydration, but you also want, that flavor that you remember from growing up as a kid, or maybe still now, that popsicle firecracker flavor, that tastes like summer. Summer is like baseball, and it all can come together for you with Liquid IV and getting that hydration that you need, because Liquid IV has that popsicle firecracker flavor, and you can get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. You might be someone that works from home. You might be someone that's on the go a lot. You might be someone that's, chasing your kids around. You might be someone that's very active and out there working out at the gym or outside or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter what the reason is, but if you want to remain hydrated, you got to make sure to get yourself some Liquid IV. And, it's tear, pour, live more. 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Go check out Liquid IV. And if you're not a firecracker popsicle flavor guy, There's other flavors like acai berry, lemon lime, pina colada, and so much more. Go to liquidiv.com to check out all those flavors. It's powered by the LIV Hydra Science, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So go get those 8 essential vitamins and nutrients and head to liquidiv.com because there's no more thirsty stomachs when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. If you go to liquidiv.com, you'll get 20% off your order with the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is here to help you get into the events you want this summer and beyond. And it's very easy to use Game Time because you get on the app and you pick what live event you want to go to, whether it's a sports game, whether it's a Dodge game, whether it's a concert, whether it's theater. And boom, you're right there looking at what you want to go to and what the prices are and what the view from your seat looks like and a bunch of different things. And now they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Some people maybe trying to sell their tickets for a lot more, but you don't want to mess with that. You want to see what the best deals are on the best seats and get into that event. So go check out Game Time and make sure that you download the app and take advantage of everything they have to offer, especially their low price guarantee, where Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same row or section of your event. So make sure to make sure to download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I want to thank you for being an everydayer if you are one. If you're an everydayer, that just means you listen or watch every day. There's a few of you here in this live chat. There's a few of you that are listening on Wednesday morning. It doesn't matter when you listen as long as you're listening. And if you're listening 5 times a week, you're an everydayer. If you're not quite up to 5 times a week, you can get there by just adding one extra show to your week. We're here for you every Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes, either live or you can listen wherever you get your podcast, or go back and watch the YouTube replay, whatever you want to do. So different ways to catch us. You can also go beyond the podcast, come on Locked On Dodgers Insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. It's a few bucks a month. You get text directly from us with any news, updates, thoughts, sometimes videos from Dodger Stadium or other places. There's a lot to get into if you're a Locked On Dodgers Insider, and you get priority in mailbag episodes and other things, like that. So make sure to go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right, so Freddie Freeman was not in the starting lineup on Tuesday, even though the Dodgers had a day off on Monday. And initially it was, concerning considering the fact that we know that he has a fracture in his finger. Before the game, Dave Roberts said they just kind of wanted to compound the day off they already had with another day off and just let it heal a little bit faster. It's one of those where basically Roberts said, they might try to find different pockets to get Freddie extra rest here and there in order to avoid the issue prolonging and extending into October. And the fact of the matter is that they didn't want to put him on the injured list because basically a fracture is not going to heal in 10 days. So to them, it's a matter of pain management and not so much a matter of getting all the way healthy, which I understand. I do think, we did learn after the game on Tuesday that Freddie Freeman was not available. So that's why he didn't pitch it. One of the reasons why he didn't pitch it, not available. The Dodgers said they're going to reevaluate him on Wednesday morning. Now that's, obviously a concern. The fact that the finger is not getting better. I was hoping maybe that it was just that first day after, like, super swollen, let the swelling go down and go from there. But obviously we know about the fracture and it's in a weird spot. You can't grip the bat. If you can't grip the bat, you're not unless you're going to hit well. Freddie had been struggling, on top of, Freddie dealing with everything that's still going on with the Sun Max and maybe a little bit of Jason Hayward, one of his best friends, getting let go from the team, which I still don't have an issue with that decision. And regardless of all the comparisons and everything people will make, I think that, that was the right move. For Hayward is going to sign with the Astros based on a few reports. I saw some people saying, oh man, he really hates the Dodgers. Fact of the matter is Jason Hayward was going to go with any playoff, or was going to go to any playoff team that was offering him a role. And with Kyle Tucker being out over there in Houston, maybe he might have an extended role or a starting position right now. So I don't think he wasn't even around when the Dodgers and Astros were a thing anyway. So not a big deal. But yeah, so when it comes to Freddie, I think obviously now with the, my initial thought coming into this episode was going to be, I think they need to put him on the IL just for the simple fact of you're down an extra hitter when you don't need to be. Is Freddie's fracture going to heal in those 10 days? No, but can you get Andy Pages up and have an extra hitter for situations like we saw on Tuesday night? Yeah, definitely. So I do think they should have done it because of that. Now with the reevaluation and kind of figuring it out, like the fact that they can backdate it to Sunday, I think, if it's not, hey, Freddie, you get to play every single day, put him on the IL, give him the 10 days, even just for a mental reset, mental break, whatever he needs. Get Andy Pages up and have that bat off the bench because, yeah, while it's still, August, these games are all going to matter. They're all continuing to matter. The D-backs and Padres haven't slowed down to the point of you being comfortable. And, the Dodgers have a big series in Arizona this weekend. And if Freddie Freeman is going to have to sit some of those games or maybe all those games, and it makes a lot of sense to put him on the injured list now, bring up the extra bat and have, weapons available when you need to at different points of the game. So, but again, this is all just a matter of depending what they say on Wednesday. Like they could wake up Wednesday, Freddie's like, you know what, I feel better, I'm good. And we're gonna play and play through the weekend and play through the pain. So I can't say for sure what they need to do, but if it's a matter of, hey, he's gonna need to sit, 2 or 3 of the next 6 games, bring somebody up. September 1st is not that far away. They can call him, once he's ready to off the 10 days, they can call him back up. But you don't want to go into a series with the team that's chasing you right behind you in the standings. You don't want to go into that series being down a man because you're giving up advantages that you could have if you had the extra hitter. So a couple other things when it comes to lineup, Kike Hernandez was playing first base, not Max Muncy. The justification for that made a lot of sense. Max Muncy is the Dodgers' third baseman, and it makes no sense right now at the moment to put him over across at first base for a game or two, knowing that he's not going to play there. He hasn't really taken ground balls there as really maybe at all the last few years, and he's you put Kike out of position for 1 or 2 games and let Max Muncy stay in his position, so that makes sense. I know there's some chatter here about Gavin Lux starting against left-handed pitchers. I'm okay with that. Considering the fact that the alternatives are a little bit different now. If the Dodgers are going to go to the extreme against left-handed pitching, then I think you got to lean all the way into it and mess with Mookie a little bit and put him at second and get your best outfield out there. Maybe when Pages comes up, and Pages in right, and go about it that way. But I do think that there's little missed opportunities. If you're not going to let Lux have a chance, since he's been better hitting of late, Chris Taylor he hit the ball well a few times. So, and he's still coming back. He's going to have a lot on his head right now just because of the fact that the Dodgers let Amed Rosario go. They let Jason Hayward go. And people are going to say, oh, now Chris Taylor's not hitting. You know what? Yeah, that's the way that, like, those decisions are in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to go back and change it. Amed Rosario's on another team. You can't go and get him. Jason Hayward's going to sign with another team. You can't go and get him. So for me, complaining about decisions in the past doesn't have as much merit. You move forward, and the decision moving forward can be, hey, you know what? Gavin Lux is going to start against lefties, or Kike is going to start at second against lefties once Freddie's back, and that's probably what might happen. So The day-to-day lineup stuff that we don't necessarily really cared about early in the season, then will come into play a little bit more here as the Dodgers get deeper and deeper into this race. And, if there's not a ton of separation, then yeah, every game starts to matter a little bit more. And the Dodgers do have to win some of these games. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to check us out wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live. Remember, you can check out Locked On MLB podcast with our pal Sully. He's covering the whole league as playoffs get near. He's getting ready for the Fall Classic. So make sure to check the link and click the link in our description to go check out Locked On MLB. Brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, which also brings you Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. Also bringing you the Locked On Dodgers postcast with host Pete Fox, available on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, live after most Dodger games and in our audio feed after that. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. We're more active on there, so make sure to go interact with that. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us with any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of us via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or if you're at home, tell your smart device, play podcasts, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.